Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it is day 4 of our January release. Hey, I'm using the new Deep Breath stamp set, the Kawaii Guts, Trust Your Guts, Fancy Heart, the Gable Box layer die, and the postage dies. I'm also using Recollections Valentine pad and Pebbles My Funny Valentine. So these are two 4.25 by 11 inch pieces of paper tray and craft cardstock, and I'm going to be scoring them at 5.5 inches using my Martha Stewart scoreboard and a Teflon bone folder. And I'll be making 2 cards for you today with our new stamp sets. And I'm loving the new Fancy Heart dies. I've used them a lot this release, actually. They're fabulous. So there we go. So I've gone ahead and I've cut the pattern paper out with the postage dies. And I'm just going to apply them to my card base with my ATG tape here. So I'm just sort of staggering. I'm making a quick sort of grouping of pattern paper to be kind of the base of my design. So there we go. So I'm tilting one way, one the other way. Kind of, no rhyme or reason really, but now this is my image that I've colored. I stamped it in Ink on Three's blackout ink, and I colored it with Copic markers, and I used R14, 17, 22, 24, 27, and 29, W3, W5, W7, and I used B12, B14, B18. Now those will all be listed on my blog in case you'd like to color it the same way. So that layer, the tag shape that I cut out I used the Gable Box layer die for that. It fits perfectly on those little tag images. And I cut it out with my Gemini machine. And I then cut out a piece of pure poppy cardstock with a 1/8 inch border around that die cut, just to sort of frame what I have going on. So I'm using my 3M foam tape, and I'm going to pop up that whole die cut and frame on the front of my card base. Now, I kind of wanted the red to frame like the main part of what was going on my design here. It's kind of bringing your eye into what I've got going on. And also I plan to use the leftover cuts, the hearts, from one of my previous designs this week to sort of fill in all those little hearts on that stamped image that I have there. So they are super cute. And they fit these little spots perfectly. It was like kind of weird that they all worked out perfectly like that. So there we go. So I'm just adding on my little heart shapes using my EK Success tweezers and some Zig two-way glue pen. It has a smaller tip, so, makes less of a mess when I'm applying glue. So I decided just to make 2 cards for you today. 2 little Valentine cards that kind of go together. Trying to use things in different ways. I know I tend to make a lot of cards. But like I said before, I kind of give out a lot of cards. That's kind of my deal. So there we are. So I'm just adding on the little hearts. I'm loving all these little confetti pieces that the Fancy Heart dies make. It's a great framed, beautiful image, but I love the little interiors that have the stitching too, and they're perfect. So now I'm adding shape sprinkles from Doodlebug, and these are the Eerie Eye collection. They've had a few different collections, and I'm just applying some little funny eyeballs to these images that I colored. Now they have eyes on them, and you could have added Google eyes. You could have added Nuvo crystal drops to make your own little eyes, but I decided to add these little eerie eyes because they're just kind of funny. Because, the sentiment is pretty funny. I heart your guts. That's pretty funny. So there we go. So now I'm using my Jelly Roll pen and a number 10. And I'm just going to add some highlights to my little images, just for a little interest. Nothing too fancy. But what's nice about this is it makes some really nice quick cards, which is nice sometimes, So there we are. So how cute is that? So now I'm going to be, I went ahead and I cut that same Fancy Heart die die cut again, but I used Paper Tray Inks craft cardstock. And I'm just going to be taking the hearts that I cut out, and I'm going to pop up 3 of them just to add a little bit of texture. And, you know, I wanted to add a few more hearts to this background. And like I said, super easy peasy. And I'm using my Stampin' Up! Mini Dimensionals for these hearts, which is, you know, like I said, super easy. So there we are. So this is kind of, you know, kind of a laid back design. The paper's kind of, you know, not too bright. There we are. So now those 2 stomachs, I did paper piecing with those. And well, not paper piecing. I stamped them onto pattern paper, and that was actually from My Funny Valentine. And then I'm using the same papers from the Valentine pad from Recollections to make a second card for you today. So I'm doing the same sort of thing. I'm using the postage dies, and I'm going to be, you know, tilting my 2 postage dies, and I'm using the same 2 sizes. I'm using my ATG tape again, and I'm just sort of, you know, having one tilted one way, one tilted the other way. Now I cut out the background piece of that fancy heart out of the pattern paper also. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp the little stomachs onto that heart. I'm trying to decide where they're going to go there. I'm going to stamp them onto that heart just so when I paper piece them on, you know, if my cutting wasn't perfect, they'll look perfect. Now, I wasn't careful and I got some ink on the center of these images, but it doesn't matter. I only care about the outline because I'll be covering it up with my little stomachs. Now, I already pre-cut those stamped images earlier, and I went ahead and ran my tuxedo black memento marker around the edges so it sort of hides, you know, if things weren't cut out perfectly. So I've grabbed my craft tacky glue, and I'm going to apply these little stomachs to my heart background. So like the idea is that I've already got one card design that's used the tag that says I heart your guts, happy Valentine's Day. And this time I'm using the kawaii guts stamp set, and I'm using the I think it's called Trust Your Guts stamp set for the sentiment, I heart your guts. And I'm going to make a second I heart your guts card, kind of go with the first one. So isn't that funny? Kind of cute, eh? There we are. Now, excuse me there. Okay, so you see there was a little bit of ink there, but I thought I'm just going to add a little heart to cover that up. You know, it'll look cute. It's Valentine's Day after all. You know, and my sentiment's going to be I heart your guts, so that'll be cute. Now I cut a second heart because I'm going to be popping this heart up, and the papers from the pad aren't super sturdy, so I don't want anything to sag, you know, when I pop it up. So I do tend to put a more firm layer behind pattern paper when I'm planning on popping that image up. So there we are. So I'm going to pop that up. I also am using my card layer dies 1, and I'm cut them out. I cut out using Paper Tray Inks craft cardstock again, and I'm using one of those flag end strips, and I'm stamping my sentiment, I heart your guts, onto it using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I use VersaFine Onyx Black ink for the little stomachs that I stamped onto the pattern paper too, because I wasn't coloring them, so, you know, it didn't have to be Copic friendly. So there is my sentiment. And I'm going to keep that flat to the card. I'm going to add another little heart. And for all these hearts that I've cut out, I'm probably just going to throw them into that fancy hearts die cut package. So if I need hearts in the future, there's a bunch in there. And I'll do this. I did the same with the glasses dies because I use them a lot. I might as well, you know, not get rid of them and use them for next time. So there is my extra heart that I popped up using a mini dimensional from Stampin' Up. Now I'm going to pop up this heart, like I said before, and you know, just add a little dimension to my card, which is kind of fun. Dimension's always nice. It always looks good. There we are. I'll add a few little dots to areas that I couldn't reach with my 3M foam tape. And then I'll pop this little heart up. There we go. So these kind of cards are kind of my favorite to make, you know, layering pattern papers. I love pattern paper. And it's just fun and easy and simple and fast. You know, sometimes you can add ink to the edges. Other times you can not, as long as there's enough, differentiation between the paper. You don't necessarily need to. So here we are. I'm adding the little eyeballs again because, how funny are these little eyeballs? I just think they're hilarious. There we go. And every time Doodlebug comes out with more eyeballs, I buy a bunch of packages because I love them. I can't get enough of them. I use them all the time in my card designs. And how cute are they? It's like making little inanimate objects, like little people. So there we are. So now I'm adding my craft hearts again, and I'm going to add 3. Again, with my Stampin' Up! Mini Dimensionals. And yeah, like this. So this was a super fast and easy card set to make. And if you've got to make a little card, for your Valentine, I guess we can call it, these are perfect for you. But how cute are they? Look at how sweet they are. And like I said, the images that I colored, super easy coloring. So nothing crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple of highlights on my little stomachs there with my Sakura white Jelly Roll pen and a number 10. And then I'll be all done. Thank you so much for stopping by, everybody. Be sure to check out the Jada Blossom blog and see all the design team inspiration. And be sure to come back tomorrow because we'll be having our hop. And I'm sure lots more inspiration from everybody. So thank you so much for spending time with me today. And hopefully you'll pop by tomorrow. Bye, everybody.